For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Hello everybody, Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. It is August 17th, and just a little over 24 hours ago, the world found out that the legendary singer Aretha Franklin had died. It was pancreatic cancer that ultimately took her life, and as you can imagine, this is a loss that's really being felt across the world, whether it's everyday people, fans, celebrities, even politicians chiming in on social media. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to be paying tribute to the Queen of Soul, as she has been dubbed. We've got Lauren Zima, host of ET Online and part of our Friends of Entertainment Tonight. She'll be joining us in just a little bit. And also my friend Chantal Kreviazuk, a fellow Winnipegger who's been in the recording industry for 20-some years, maybe. We're going to talk with her about what Aretha's contributions to the music industry are leaving behind, and really how she paved the way for a lot of artists. So we'll talk with Chantal Kreviazuk in just a little bit, and Lauren Zima is on deck. And again, like I said, you know, the celebrities have been chiming in within hours of the news coming out. We heard from President Donald Trump. We heard from the Obamas. Barack and Michelle had put out a lengthy statement. Hillary Clinton even chimed in. And then her friends from the music industry, Diana Ross, Elton John, Barbra Streisand, Ariana Grande, Thursday night on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, just hours after hearing the news of Aretha Franklin's passing, performed one of her songs and paid tribute to her. It was really, really touching. So we're going to cover all of that coming up in the next 30 minutes, and we're going to get into it on The Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Joining us on the line is ET Online host Lauren Zima to talk about how the celebrity world is responding to the loss of Aretha Franklin. Hey, Lauren, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Such an important woman to be on to talk about, so I appreciate it.
Well, and this is the thing, you know, when presidents are chiming in, you know it's a big loss. I mean, we've heard from Donald Trump and the Obamas and the Clintons. You know you're in mega stardom when these people are sad, right?
Absolutely. I have to say, I think we all were doing this. I was on YouTube just looking up performances of Aretha's from even the past few years all the way back to some of her black and white performances, you know, when we didn't even have color TV yet. But one that stuck out to me, a couple of years ago, she performed at the Kennedy Center Honors when Carole King was getting awarded because, of course, Carole King was behind You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. And with many songs, as Aretha did with that one, she did cover somebody else's song, and she always gave tribute to the original artist, but she was such a powerful vocalist that she really turned it into a hit. And the Obamas are in the audience in that performance, of course, and President Obama is wiping a tear from his eye just from watching Aretha Franklin sit at the piano, sing, stand up, bring the crowd to a standing ovation. She was a lyricist, a vocalist, an entertainer, and a woman who valued being a good person. She said that in so many of her interviews. So that's really what makes an icon, and that's why we're seeing such an outcry from celebrities about how much she impacted them.
And even when you see somebody like Carole, I believe, was that the clip also where she's kind of almost like jumping and in tears herself watching the performance?
Yes, she's clutching her heart. She can't believe it because, in the past couple years, Aretha had stayed pretty off the radar a little bit. I mean, we would see her come out for big performances, absolutely, but it's not as though you were hearing from her all the time. So I think to see her come out, and again, not just even stand and sing, but she played the piano. She stood up, she came out in her fur coat, and then she took off that fur coat for a big finish. She just knew how to give a performance from top to bottom, and that's really what makes an icon, not just a singer.
You knew when that coat came off, right? You knew. It's funny you mention watching videos on YouTube. I think that probably everybody has done that today. We've also heard that, Aretha songs on iTunes and all the, the streaming services are through the roof. And, I was watching earlier a clip of her Rolling in the Deep on, David Letterman. That was years ago. And it's just timeless. And let's be honest, she really didn't age for those last few years.
What is really impressive is you watch, especially these later clips with her voice. Her voice was still so strong because some people, as they age, the voice does change or weaken a little bit. And gosh, she was still just such a powerhouse, and so herself to the end. I mean, Aretha is also kind of very lovingly known for her ability to just say what was on her mind. That Wall Street Journal interview that she did where she weighs in on some of the newer divas of the day. They ask her opinion on Nicki Minaj, on Taylor Swift, on Adele, and Alicia Keys and some others, and she just gives her opinion on everybody, and she did it in a respectful way, but in an honest way. So, we kind of joke, like, throwing shade these days. Aretha was a queen and an original of being who she was, believing in being a good person, but still saying what she thought.
And she was part of the original Divas Club. I mean, let's get that right. I mean, the powerful women. Diva back then meant kind of strong, just powerhouse, really, is what it meant. The likes of Whitney, Mariah, that group. And not many artists get that kind of status in the same way nowadays.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, what is amazing about, Aretha's moments that we're having right now where we're remembering her is that hopefully younger people who didn't, and not that I came up with her music, I mean, she was a little bit before my time, of course, but she's timeless, and so that younger people will be Googling and will be finding out the incredible rise that she had as a woman, as a solo artist, as a black woman. I mean, like you said, the definition of diva, today maybe it might mean a little bit more glam, a little more over the top, but she was all about strength, and she had impact in the civil rights movement. She had impact on what it meant to be able to be a woman and make a name for yourself. So she was before her time and timeless in so many ways.
And quite honestly, I mean, we see nowadays that it's so much easier to become famous. I mean, thanks to YouTube and that's computers, right? Even with recording music, you don't have to be a great singer nowadays. You can just, sing and then a computer fixes your voice for you. I mean, this is raw talent that we don't see very often these days either.
100%, and I think I was kind of even learning a little bit myself about, all the songs she wrote as well. She wrote the song Think. She, again, we know she played the piano, a lyricist. I mean, this is the first woman ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Sang at President Obama's inauguration. Ranked by Rolling Stone as the best singer of all time. So many celebrities are also coming out and really putting a focus on her vocal talent. Like we were talking about before, she took a lot of songs that had already been performed. Respect was not originally her song, and then she put her spin on it and really made those songs into hits. I think it was Rod Stewart who tweeted his respects for her, and he said, no, I'm sorry, it was Billy Joel. Billy Joel tweeted and said, as someone who writes songs, I understand how important a good vocalist is because, that's about putting the meaning into the words and the performance. And so she was really able to do that, and that's why we have so many songs of hers that even a song like Respect that still today, you hear that song every, at weddings, at bars, at parties. It's a song that has so stood the test of time because it has such real emotion behind it.
And with celebrities paying tribute, I mean, the fans, we saw yesterday over in New York at the Apollo Theater, people singing and dancing to her music hours after this story broke, and then over on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, that became an instant shrine with candles and flowers and everything. So literally coast to coast, people are feeling this.
Absolutely, and I think it's a situation where when we look at the losses of people like Michael Jackson and Prince, those were definitively gone too soon. They were young, and those were terrible, sad situations of some issues with the drugs that had been used and that kind of thing. Aretha was 76. On the one hand, you could say, she lived such a full life. We have learned that the ultimate cause of her death was advanced pancreatic cancer. Her doctor did come out and say that. But still, 76, there is a little bit of we would have loved a few more years with Aretha, of course, and her family is speaking out and just saying that they have really lost their matriarch. And that's the thing. She died at home in Detroit. As famous as she was, she maintained those roots and that respect and that love for where she was from, and she put such an importance on family and on relationships, and that is where her focus has been the past few years. So that, I think, is also why people are feeling so connected to her, because she kept it so real, frankly. Aretha kept it real. She really was the queen of soul, and when you're the queen, you're the matriarch, and you're the person people turn to.
And we're hearing that they're expecting, upwards of, thousands of people to come out. I believe it's going to be a public memorial, at a local museum, is what I was hearing.
Yes, so many tributes, rightfully so, being planned now. I mean, a source did confirm to ET that Clive Davis, of course, he's a music legend in his own right, is planning a tribute concert for her. That will be not till November, but we're looking at Wednesday, November 14th at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And the thing is, as I said, we had known for the past few days or so only, and it had been kept pretty private, but close family and friends had known that Aretha had been ill. So the concert had been in the works for months. That's what we're hearing from our source. And people knew this was coming, and now they want to pay the tributes to Aretha as she's deserved to get. So I'm sure artists will be clamoring to be part of those tributes, because you're seeing, everybody from Mariah Carey to Justin Timberlake to Rod Stewart, they're posting pictures on Twitter, on Instagram, Lionel Richie, all these people, Celine Dion, of their moments with Aretha. Oprah tweeted, "We'll miss you, Queen," because just to have a moment with Aretha Franklin was iconic, even for the most famous of celebrities.
Well, and when Oprah gives somebody her own title, that's
Handed it over.
that's big. But Ariana Grande last night on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, that was just hours after hearing this news, and we're told that she wasn't going to perform. She was just going to do like a skit or something, and then she was convinced to do a song that opened the show, and lots of people crying watching on TV at home last night.
Yeah, Ariana Grande is, she's only in her mid-20s, but she has always said that she learned from the divas. She said sometimes she even had a hard time finding her own vocal sound, because what she did was she watched people like Aretha, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, and she learned to sing by watching them and then sort of unintentionally mimicked them. But she has a real respect for the divas, and she has a real voice herself. So, yeah, she did sing, and she changed her mind and ended up opening the show with Natural Woman. And she brought the house down. Everybody was feeling that emotion, feeling that moment, a standing ovation. And she did reportedly tear up herself a little bit as well, especially backstage. So it's a death and a loss that, I guess, a small silver lining through it is that people are united by this. Everybody feels that emotion. Everybody can sing an Aretha song and was touched by her in some way. So it is a very unifying moment where everybody's on the same page about paying tribute to this very real talent.
And here's the deal. Obviously, this is a huge loss, but if there is kind of one nice thing about this, it was that it's on Throwback Thursday, everybody was able to share these great memories and moments with a legend, right?
Absolutely. Like I said, there are moments where, you see a celebrity tweet something and then you think, gosh, I want to go look that up. One that really stuck out to me was Elton John, because he had been a part of basically what was her last public performance in November at an event for raising money for his AIDS foundation, and she performed, and she was looking thinner then, and Elton John tweeted, that, she made real music. He said music from the heart, the soul, and the church. Everybody said Aretha took you to church. Elton even said her voice was unique. He said, quote, her piano playing underrated. She was so talented in so many ways, and so she had given that performance come out for him to support him, and he said it meant so much to him. He said she sang and played. We all wept. We were witnessing the greatest soul artist of our time. So, again, it's icons feeling like they have lost an icon here.
Absolutely. And I know, so we've done a lot of talking about Aretha Franklin, but I know that ET Online and Entertainment Tonight, you guys aren't done with your Aretha tributes, are you?
I mean, you almost wonder how can you be done. We were all talking today about all the things we wanted to do to cover everything she'd done. I mean, you could even get into Aretha's fashions, the hats she wore. She took you to church with her outfits, She was, again, a performer top to bottom. So we have been covering that by looking up our old interviews with her, bringing out some of those best moments, because she was interviewed by ET in our very first season more than 35 years ago. So we've got some amazing moments with Aretha. You can get it all at etonline.com, and we are just all moved by this, touched by this, and it's a unifying moment where everyone's just witnessing and remembering one of the most incredible talents of all time.
We'll be sure to follow it all weekend long. Well, Lauren Zima from ET Online and, of course, Entertainment Tonight, thanks so much for joining us and sharing this moment.
Thank you for having me.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, continuing our look back at the life of Aretha Franklin, and we're joined by one of our friends, Chantal Kreviazuk. She's on the line to chat about, this is a huge loss for the music world. Hi, Chantal.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm okay. I love chatting with you when you have a new exciting project on the go, so I appreciate you taking some time. We're going to keep it a little bit serious today. Thursday was one of those days where you wake up and, you flip on the TV or you check social media, and then you see that, and you're kind of like, Really? What did you think?
Well, I knew that it was coming because she was at home with family and doing hospice with family.
Right.
So I was sort of prepared that it was coming, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of those people that she makes me think about how tragic it is that life ends, because it's such a loss of just her brain, her mind, her voice. The thought of it being silenced and no longer here, it just really is a loss. I do think that she was probably the greatest vocalist of our generation, and I feel the same way about people like Amy Winehouse and Janis Joplin and various others. But the thing is that Aretha lived so long, so it's such a great loss in that sense.
And you think that these strong personalities, they're sick and they're battling cancer, and you think, or at least you hope anyway, that they'll beat it, right? They'll overcome it. And like you say, it's a sad fact that that's not the case. I really, I sort of feel the opposite. I think that ultimately we are human, and people like to talk about positivity and
all sorts of things related. There's a lot of new age, stuff about, being positive in times of illness and so on. And I don't dismiss it, but at the same time, I just feel that ultimately we are all human, and you could do everything right. And, I think of people like Linda McCartney, who is a vegetarian and a vegan, and I don't think she'd eaten meat in 25 or 30 years, and she died of cancer. And I think, she led an incredibly profound and positive life. It can happen to anybody, and 76 is a good age.
Oh, for sure. And, it seems like, and, you're in the music industry, obviously, so maybe you might see this a little bit different, but it almost seems like we're not going to see the likes of somebody like Aretha and Whitney and Mariah, Michael Jackson, Elvis. It seems like it's just a different generation now. Like, we just don't have those legends. Like, who do you see nowadays that would have that kind of status?
I don't see that at all. To be honest with you, right now I really don't have someone in mind that touches a Michael, a Whitney, an Aretha.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to Dionne Warwick and Anita Baker and
Diana Ross, all of those, yeah.
Diana Ross, these were my musical heroes,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, and that's my point, right? I mean, we just don't see that kind of caliber of artist.
I know.
Yeah.
But there's also something, there's, you sort of just hang on, though. It's coming because, this world always presents adversity. We get comfortable, and then we sort of lose the beauty, the manifestation that can come of adversity. But there's adversity again in a way that I don't think we have seen in a while. And I really do see, especially in Aretha, I really hear this beautiful manifestation in adversity in her voice, an overcoming, if you will, that just resonates. And I have hope that we'll hear something like that come through. I have hope,
Yeah. When you hear the name Aretha Franklin, what's the first song that comes to your mind?
Well, my obsession is the song Natural Woman. Hands down, one of my absolute... I mean, it's very hard for me to say I have a top 5 song, and that probably is in the top 5 or top 3 songs of my life. It just is.
That's, woman. Let's just talk about when she got started. A woman, African-American, with all due respect to her, I mean, the odds were kind of stacked against her, and look what she made of the opportunity.
Well, that's kind of what I love about her so much, is that she took her gift and she somehow managed to do greatness, to do great with it, to be great, to become greatness in all sorts of ways. And again, to just live such a long life and have such a thriving career that permeates so much strength and humility and confidence all in one. It's really, really, really exceptional.
And it really does say something when you've got all these tributes from, President Trump and the Obamas and Hillary Clinton, and then, of course, music royalty like Diana Ross and Celine Dion. I mean, if only Aretha were around to hear it, right? But, I mean, she knew it. She knew it. Humble, but she knew it.
Oh, God, she knew. There's a little interview going around online right now that's gone viral of her being asked about Adele and Alicia Keys, and then about Taylor Swift. It's hilarious.
We'll have to...
Oh, my God. She kind of just... I mean, listen, she opened her mouth and God came out of it. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, and, look, as the Obamas said, a queen. We were Canadian. We've got a queen, but, she's a queen to a lot of people.
Yeah, it was definitely something truly, truly remarkable and exceptional and divine about her capacity as a vocalist and as an artist.
We've said a lot of words about her. I want to wrap this up by just you giving me one word to describe Aretha Franklin.
Badass.
Absolutely right. Chantal Kreviazuk, thank you so much for joining us and reflecting on Aretha Franklin with us today, and we'll talk to you very soon.
much.
All
I
right.
really appreciate your time.
I love keeping in touch with fellow Winnipeggers. Chantal Kreviazuk, everybody. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back at the controls on the Scribble as we wrap up our tribute to Aretha Franklin. It's interesting to hear other people's thoughts of this. When you talk to somebody who's in the music industry and has sort of firsthand accounts of what it's like, especially for a woman, to make it in the industry, and then you rewind 40, 50 years and how somebody like Aretha Franklin was able to push through. I mentioned, it was when we were talking with Lauren from ET Online, that, it's so easy to become a celebrity nowadays. You don't even have to have talent, let's be honest, right? I mean, you can go to a YouTube channel and some moron doing stupid pranks in their backyard can have, a million fans and go viral. And it's like, really? And I feel like we've lost that in the entertainment world, where it's just, we're entertained by the most mundane things, which is fine if you want to kill some time, like a podcast, for instance, but just that natural talent, right? And again, I mentioned when you have the computers that can kind of do the singing for you these days, it's just not quite the same. And I think that that's probably why we're not going to have a legend, right? I mean, it's sad to think that once these people, these music icons, have passed and moved, they're no longer with us, that we don't have a next generation of legend. I realize you kind of have to get to a certain age before you're considered, a legend, an icon, have that sort of a title attached to your name. But who's on the verge of getting there? I mean, would you consider Justin Bieber? Would you consider Britney Spears? Would you consider Justin Timberlake? I think maybe because I'm part of that generation, I don't see them as having that kind of status. But, maybe if I talk to younger folks, I'm in my mid-30s, so it's a little bit different for me. But I don't see who's going to be that next. We have... Oh, geez. You do have your Celine Dion's, perhaps Britney Spears. I'm just talking this through now as I'm, really, it'll be interesting to see. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, by the way, if you've got a favorite Aretha Franklin song or even a performance that I should check out on YouTube, because I think that at least this weekend, for the most part, people are still going to be tuned into Aretha songs. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Would love to hear your thoughts and your memories. And it was, again, as the tributes were pouring in on Thursday morning and afternoon, just scrolling Twitter, and you kind of see a mix of everybody, right? You saw fans, you saw celebrities, you saw politicians, you saw people from all over Detroit, even the local sporting teams, the local sports teams. That's how much she meant to people in Detroit. And as I mentioned, coast to coast, with people rallying and dancing and singing to her music in New York, and then the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and just the glowing tributes that everybody has passed along. And I think that she knows that everybody is shedding a tear, but also having a smile when you think back to those memories. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for tuning in to this special edition of the Scribble podcast, our tribute to Aretha Franklin. And remember, you can subscribe on SoundCloud and iTunes. I know this sort of isn't the usual fun, sarcastic, upbeat kind of a show like we normally produce, but you know what? Sometimes you just have to have a bit of a change. Again, my email address, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I will talk to you same time, same place next week, right here on The Scribble. And remember, you can always get the latest entertainment news, headlines, gossip, all the fun stuff at entertainmentwrapup.com. It's our daily look at the latest celebrity news, entertainmentwrapup.com. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat